Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got to look at a new Trevenant card. And Trevenant cards tend to be quite annoying. We had the really, really good one that blocked item cards, and the less good one that increased attack cost, but was still kind of annoying. This one, yeah, it's kind of annoying, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of annoying. Now, the 120 HP we're not loving. We'd much rather have 130. Someone like a Sylvali will take it down very easily. Boswell actually can't until Dancy Prism Star comes in, and then it can, because of your resistance to fighting. Yeah, you've actually got a resistance to fighting here. That's also really good, because Pikachu and Zekrom is everywhere at the moment. People are playing fighting stuff to try and take that down, so there will inevitably be, lots of fighting decks running around. Having resistance is lovely. And as for the weakness to darkness, we're cool with it, honestly, because you see, Zoroark's being rotated out. So darkness just really isn't much of a relevant type moving forward into next format. Plus, you are yourself a psychic type, which means although you're not really being hit for weakness by very much, you are hitting for weakness on Mewtwo and Mew, which may well be the best Pokemon in the format post-rotation, at least one of them. Not to mention Malamar to accelerate energy and Spell Tag so that when you get KO'd, you get to drop 4 damage counters any way you like. And it's, looking quite nice. Looking good to be a psychic Pokemon. Retreat cost of 2 is higher than we'd like, but we have got that new Beware coming, which will reduce your retreat cost by 2, so that will help rather handily. So the first attack then, what does it do? Well, I translated this using Google Translate, checked with a lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net just to make sure I'd not done a silly. He's a lovely man with a lovely website. Go check it out. If you're not checking Cerebi regularly, why not at this stage? 1 colourless energy, 20 damage. Your opponent switches the defending Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon. And it is their choice, and this is extremely clear. The little bit of brackets at the end specifically says your opponent chooses the Pokemon to switch. So think of it as a repel rather than a Pokemon catcher, for instance. But you still get to force your opponent to switch. And this can be really annoying. Now, it might not be. So let's say, for argument's sake, they've got a Beware on the bench, giving retreat costs of -2 to all of their Pokemon. You attack with Trevenant, you do 20, they switch, they put up something with a retreat cost of 2 or less, Beware lets them retreat, you're good. Yeah, that could be kind of annoying. Beware's going to hurt this. And I'm still kind of convinced that Beware's going to be a genuinely good, impactful, relevant Pokemon in the new format. I think Beware's going to see a lot of play. Similarly, this could end up really backfiring, and I mean really backfiring, against Jirachi decks. A lot of decks are playing Jirachi at the moment. Obviously, you've got the Zapdos Jirachi archetype. Then you've got Pikachu and Zekrom, which generally tend to play Zapdos and Jirachi, even though it's not their sole goal. Even a bunch of Reshiram and Charizard decks have started playing Jirachi. People disagree as to whether that is or is not the best way to play the deck, but you can't really disagree about the fact that many people are deciding it is good and choosing to play it. So as it stands, Jirachi is great, and the problem is that when Jirachi's in the active, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a trainer card, put it in your hand, and Jirachi goes to sleep. But we've then got a skateboard that gives you free retreat, or to be more precise, it lowers your retreat by 1, gives Jirachi free retreat, but it won't for everyone, while also letting you retreat while you're asleep or paralysed, and all of a sudden, you want Jirachi in the active. Your goal with Jirachi is to get in and out of the active as often as possible, and you're going to be playing a bunch of switching cards. Well, if you use this with a Jirachi on the bench, your opponent, unless they're very silly or have a really specific alternate plan, are going to whack Jirachi in the active, start their next turn, use the ability, free retreat, and probably thank you for helping them out. You've also got stuff like Miltank, which does a similar kind of thing with healing. There are a bunch of Pokemon that want these abilities. The new Venusaur and Snivy I showed you the other day, whereby when you attach a grass energy, you get to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. Again, it's got a fairly high retreat cost. You'll need like Beware, Ann, and a skateboard. It's not ideal. But the fact of the matter is that you can then use that ability and retreat. And that's kind of my problem with this. The good news is, post-rotation, switching options are much worse. We're not going to have Escape Rope. And we're not going to have Guzma. And we're not going to have Ace Roller. So we are going to be in a retreating format. But then again, you've got a skateboard, U-turn board, and Beware. So people are going to be able to retreat. And what you're really doing here is just letting your opponent start the turn with the Pokemon they want. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, your opponent is playing with Eevee and Snorlax. Huge retreat, expensive attacks. So what you do is you play this, and you force them into switching into another Eevee and Snorlax that doesn't have the energy on. Sounds good, but that's often played in Quagsire decks. And Quagsire can just move all of their energy over to the active, and then you're in the same position you were in that they're just rolling with it. I think there are formats where an attack like this can be really good. And look, we're losing our gusting options. We're losing Guzma. We're even losing Repel. We're losing Escape Rope, which is the other one that would let your opponent choose. But the problem is, I just see this in a format where people just put up something of a skateboard, or they have Beware on the bench, or they put up a free retreater. And Jirachi is so ubiquitous with this format as a whole, there are going to be so many times you use this and your opponent just goes cheers and uses Jirachi. That's what I'm worried about here. I love that it's a single colorless energy. That makes me extremely happy. But I don't love the fact that your opponent gets the choice, because I really believe we're heading into a format where your opponent, well, put it this way, I think you will see more times where your opponent whacks up something like a Jirachi and gets an advantage than they have to whack up something that they just cannot get out the active. But maybe the second attack will save us here. It will not. 1 Psychic, 2 colorless energy, 120 damage. Put 4 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. And this should seem like a very familiar attack, because it is extremely similar to the attack we see from Giratina. Except it's not really. Now, there is one good thing that you have over Giratina, and that is it's Psychic double colorless rather than double Psychic colorless. Really, with double colorless having rotated out, that means you can use triple acceleration energy, given that you're an evolved Pokemon, though only for a single turn. That's nice. The problem is, Giratina does 10 more damage. And Giratina has 10 more HP. And Giratina has the Nuts ability that allows you to put 2 damage counters, 1 on each of 2 bench Pokemon, when you get it out of the discard and put it onto the bench. It's an issue, ladies and gentlemen. And it is genuinely a really big issue, because Giratina is also a basic Pokemon, so takes up less space in your bench, more HP, more damage, great ability. Okay, it's got a slightly higher retreat cost. You can't retreat it with Beware. You need to use a skateboard as well. That's good, right? Yeah. This just strikes me as bad Giratina. They both put 4 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. Incidentally, do consider playing this with something like Spiritomb or Tauros, or one of these Pokemon that does more damage depending on how many damage counters is on them. That would be a fairly good idea. But honestly, I don't see why you would play this over the Giratina unless you really wanted the first attack. But as I've said, as much utility as there is in the first attack, and there is, I'm just not entirely buying it. When we look at these kind of stage ones, the other thing we look at sometimes is, alright, what other versions of this Pokemon are legal so that we can potentially play 2 or 3 different versions, and then we're just teching this in as a 1-card tech? The answer is none. The most recent Trevenant other than this was the one in Guardians Rising, which did have the really good Poltergeist attack, but will have rotated by the time this comes out. I'm not seeing much of an argument here for Trevenant. I don't think the attack is bad. I think the attack is fine. People play Giratina, and they use the attack in Malamar decks a lot. But I don't see why you would play this with Giratina in the format. In a year, Giratina will have rotated out. That opens the door for Trevenant. For now, it's a stage 1 less powerful, less HP Giratina with a first attack that will work in a bunch of formats, but I don't think will work in the one we're heading into. That's kind of annoying. Hey ho, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be giving this between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I don't think it's a terrible card. I just think we've got better options within the same typing that do the same things just a little bit better. Though if you really want to make your opponent switch, this is good for the first attack. So this is the part of the video where you tell me what you think about Trevenant. So do let me know in the comment section, do go nuts, and do be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.